Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Yeah.
The views expressed by J. Michael McCoy are the views of the hosts and guests of Max World Live, and not necessarily the views of Webcast One Live, its staff, its management, the cleaning crew, Dave the electric guy, the guy who cleans the skywalk, the woman who brought in the cookies, the management staff of Hubble Real Estate, the parking lot attendant at Keck Parking, the wait staff over at Miss Kitty's, the coffee crew at Frederick's, the man in the street corner willing to work for food, Rob Spearman, Max Crabb, or anyone else of sound mind. Should you be offended, provoked, intimidated, shocked, confused, or just made to think independently, log on to maxworldlive.com right now. It's your voice we want to hear in Max World. And now, live from the palatial studios of Webcast One Live, your host, J. Michael McCoy.
Thank you very much, Michael Libby, and good afternoon. It's 4 minutes after the hour on this Tuesday, the 23rd day of September in the Lord's year 2014. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and it's Max World on this Tuesday here on 99.3 KTIA, powered by WebcastOneLive.com. Any show that you hear us do on KTIA is also available by audio/visual podcast. And all you have to do is go to webcast1 live.com, and you'll see archives, and you'll click on it, and you'll pick the show, whether you want to see Ed Fallon, or whether you want to listen to the Miracle Show, or whether you want to hear whatever show it is, and then you can watch and or listen to the podcast. And I think they go back a couple years, I think. We have a big cloud, and so we usually leave them on there so you can go back and search for the name and things like that. All right. Tom Coates supposed to be here today. He has been on a vacation, I think, and I thought he was landing today, but I know he's a little guy, but he hasn't shrunk that much. He's not sitting over there, is he, Sam? Am I missing something?
I don't think so.
So my co-host and special guest today is Sam Clovis, none other than the Sam Clovis. Sam ran for Congress, right?
Primary in the United States Senate for the Republican Party.
Senate, thank you. For Tom Harkin's seat.
Right.
And came in second. Talk about a dark horse.
Yes, and surprised everybody.
Yeah, well.
Didn't surprise me, but it surprised everybody else.
I don't think it surprised Tom and I that much.
No.
We knew you would do well, especially after the thing that we came down to and watched down at the hotel.
Right.
You did such a good job at that. But anyway, you no more get out of that primary than the governor rings your bell,
right,
and asks you if you'd run for state treasurer.
That's correct.
Was there no one on the Republican ticket for state treasurer?
There was a young man who was going to put his name into a nomination at the convention, and John Thompson. And John is a West Point graduate, Iraqi and Afghanistan war veteran.
Wow.
A Bronze Star winner, just a tremendous young man and a dear friend of mine. And I think that what the issue was, I think there were the party, there were a couple of things that were dynamics here, and I'll just be upfront about it. As you know, the Republican Party in Iowa had gone through a lot of stretching and moaning over the last several years. And
different
I think
chairmen and different platforms. And
I think what was really the party leadership really what they were looking for is someone who could help bring the party together and help unify the party. And I certainly represent an element of the party that's, the base. If you want to talk about the conservative base of the party, the evangelical, the liberty, the Tea Party, all of the, the gun rights people, all of those folks who really oftentimes struggle with the establishment. And I think that they looked for and sought out a leader, and I happened to fall into that. And I think what the overall picture was is, one, I became very popular in the Republican Party across the state because of what I did in the Senate primary. I think people really were happy with the message I had.
Yeah, and don't hear Sam as arrogant.
No.
Okay, so we know Sam, and he's been around a lot. He really is stating a fact there.
Yeah. And I think what the issue was that they wanted someone, and they had we have a strong ticket. We had a strong ticket, and I think that they just felt that I would provide a lot more strength to the ticket than perhaps John might. And John and I are good friends. We talked it over, and John said, "Yeah, I'll step aside if you're going to step in. I'll step aside, and then I'll come work for you." And that's exactly what's happened.
Wow.
Yeah, and if you missed the state convention, it was
a barn burner.
well, it was, and it was quite a moment because John got up on stage, was nominated as he should have been. He was nominated. He got up on stage and gave a great speech and withdrew his name from nomination. And then I was nominated, and by the lieutenant governor, and went up on stage, and John and I exchanged salutes and hugs, and I gave my speech, and as I say, the rest is history. So that here I am, 8 days after the primary. My dogs had stopped barking at me. My wife had found me as a person of interest again, and all of
I saw your picture on a milk carton, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people don't realize the stress and strain it puts on a family, and I think that we were kind of looking forward to getting out of the war for a little bit, but that didn't pan out, and I'm very happy and proud to be a member of this ticket because it is top to bottom really a strong ticket.
Yeah, and as the show goes by today, we are going to talk about some of the other races that are out there, some important races, and some of the stuff that's going on in there. You're running for state treasurer.
Yes.
And one of the things that I think is important that we recognize is what does that state treasurer do? We've all belonged to organizations where dues come in and the treasurer, but the IRS collects the money, right?
Well, the state collects this. Actually, the state treasurer. You write your income tax check to the state treasurer.
Okay.
You write your all the fees that are paid to the state treasurer, and the treasurer is responsible for receiving all revenue and writing all checks to pay the bills of the state of Iowa, and responsible for the stewardship of the money, the revenues of the state. The treasurer also has responsibilities in overseeing. Overseeing 3 pension programs. One is the police officers' retirement system, the other is the judiciary retirement system, and the third and the most important one of those 3 is the Iowa Public Employees Retirement System, IPERS. 340,000 Iowans are in IPERS.
That's 10%.
That's 11.4% of the population of Iowa is enrolled in IPERS. And that is a significant issue. They have a $24 billion portfolio, and they are managed by an IPERS management. They have a management group, the number of employees that handle the day-to-day operations. There's an investment advisory board that the treasurer is responsible for and sits on. And then they hire consultants to manage the investments of that operation. One of the great problems that we face in this state is the fact that there is a $6 billion unfunded liability associated with that pension program. Now, we often hear about the pension problems in Illinois and California and other states and how it's going to end up burying the states and putting them into bankruptcy. Well, Iowa is not quite there yet, but Iowa has a looming problem. And this is the last IPERS board meeting was just on the 18th last week. And one of the things that came out of that I thought was some pretty startling revelations. One is that they thought that the projections that they had for making revenue, 7.5% is what they feel they need to make in interest or gain on the investments in order to keep up with what they're required to do. Well, the people, the Wilshire Management Group that came back, the consultants that manage the fund, came back and said, that's too high. We can't make that. So 6.9% is much more realistic. And yet they turn around and say that if we're underfunding this, we're going to continue to see this increase in unfunded liability. And that leads me, here are some, this is a direct quote from what they had. Of most concern is the ability to protect assets in distressed equity and credit markets. And this is one of the things you have to think about. If you have 55% of the portfolio invested in equities, and they are concerned about credit and equity markets, think what happens if we start to have a slide back in the stock market.
Yeah.
Because the stock market has been inflated because of Federal Reserve actions with quantitative easing. All that money has been funneled into the stock market, is artificially inflated. And what happens if we enter a recession or we just see the stock market start a retreat?
Yeah.
So that liability goes from $6 billion to $10 billion almost instantly. Now, here's the issue. In 2008, since 2008, there has been a 115% increase in the unfunded liability of this program.
115%.
150, more than double. More than double in 5 years.
And where is the money?
Well, the money is invested. That's a good point. You bring up the question. Let me give you some examples of where the money is invested.
Okay.
$24 billion portfolio. $1.4 billion is invested in Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and mortgage-backed securities.
Rocket scientist took that one.
What do you think about that?
I don't think that's very good at all.
I don't either. $3.3 billion is invested in assets that are rated below A-level risk. Now, risk is usually assigned to AAA, AA, and A. Now, if you get into an A risk asset, that's usually something you ought to pay attention to. These are below. This is $3.3 billion worth that are in risk assets that are below that level. They're that much more riskier than what you would generally put your own money into. So so we have 12% of the portfolio invested in assets that have high risk. Now, this is really, we had 3,000 fewer contributors now in the system. And over the last 5 years, we've had a 19% increase in the benefit recipients and a 27% increase in benefits paid over the last 5 years. So what we have is fewer people paying in, more people who are paying to, and who picks up the slack?
You and I do.
The taxpayer.
Yeah.
Taxpayer. Now, it's pretty complex stuff. There's a lot of stuff here. But I'm telling you right now, you need leadership and stewardship. You need hands-on leadership and stewardship of a program like this if we're going to keep our promises to the people who have worked so hard for the state of Iowa.
Well, and the bottom line is we can't default on it.
No.
I mean, they're the largest employer in the state. The state, right?
Yeah, state and local governments.
Yeah.
Vipers.
So the answer is that we raise taxes.
Well, or we figure out, solutions, and there are statutory issues that we can have involved in this. And part of that is, one, we really don't know. We really don't know the true situation with IPERS. We really don't. I'm a former inspector general, so this is red meat for me. I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm saying, oh my word. We really need to get to the bottom of this. We need to deconstruct this entire program. And then once we have that, we need to make it public. Everybody in Iowa needs to know where we are with this. Everybody. Because then everybody in Iowa will know. The 11% that are members and the other 90% that are paying. And, well, of course, the 11% pay too.
Yeah.
Because, we have a hybrid system that the employees do pay in and the employers pay in as well. So we probably need a statutory solution to this, which means that a certain, whatever part of we will set aside money to help buy down this liability. Because if we don't, the rule of thumb right now is 30 years. We'll buy it down in 30 years. Well, the problem is that they keep resetting that 30 years, so every year it starts over. So we don't really get into,
Just push the problem down the road.
Exactly. And so who's going to pay it?
Our kids.
Our kids
and then our
grandkids.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sam Clovis is our guest today. A lot of numbers. But does it make sense to you? I mean, do you understand that if you get a check for $100 at the end of the month and you spend $112, $115, $120, where does that money come from? Now, we have a generation today who would say, well, it's not my problem. But the truth is, it is their problem, and we're making it their problem. When we come back, we'll continue talking with Sam about the judicial contribution fund and also the police fund. And Frank, the voice, is standing by to ask Mr. Clovis a question. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on 99.3 KTIA, Iowa.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
See them here, see them there. You got bad credit? We don't care.
Visit emetroford.com for your guaranteed credit approval. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Everybody drives with guaranteed credit approval at emetroford.com. Visit emetroford.com today.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
21 minutes after 3 o'clock on this 23rd day of September in the Lord's year 2014. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Max World Live. Usually Tom Coates sitting in with us. He was traveling, and I thought he was supposed to be back by today, but a lot of times his wife, Leanne, just puts Tom in his carry-on luggage, and so he gets bumped around a little bit. So hopefully he'll be here next week. Sam Clovis is my co-host and guest today as he is running for treasurer, the state of Iowa treasurer on the Republican ticket. And let's go to the phones before we get into anything else, because our number one listener, our number one fan, the voice, Frank is standing by. Frank, you're live on the radio. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, Frank, how are you?
Yes, good, Sam. Hey, well, I had a question there, but first, who put us in this fiscal deficit? Was it Democratic policies or was it a bipartisan effort?
It's a bipartisan effort. Let's be upfront and honest about it. You know, that's one of the things I've always promised everybody. I'd always tell the truth, and this is where we are. You know, it's been both sides of the aisle have been, and I wouldn't call it neglect. I think it's just something that happens because, and this is one of the points, Frank, I want to make. I don't think there's enough oversight from the General Assembly into the Treasurer's office or operations. And this is certainly one of the areas where I think there needs to be more oversight and not less. And this is something that I would, as the next treasurer for the state, would advocate for, and that's formal oversight from the General Assembly.
Okay. Well, my larger question is, how would you size up the class of the Republican class of 2014? Whether it be Joni Ernst or David Young. Do you think our candidates are playing it too conservative, playing not to lose? Do you think we need to be a little bit more aggressive? And for instance, David Horowitz on C-SPAN the other night says we need to be going into the black communities, and we need to be saying that it's not the Republicans who are racist, it's Democrat policies that have kept generations of black youth in failing schools.
Right.
We need to point out that they're the ones that's declaring the war on women by keeping them in poverty.
Right.
Are we being too tentative? Do we need to get more aggressive?
I would say aggressive is a good word. I would, and I will just frame it on. I can't really speak for all of the candidates. I just tell you what I think, and here's what I think. I think Republicans, particularly those running for federal office, need to go back and hearken to the and I pardon using that word. They need to go back and take a hard look at the 1975 speech that Ronald Reagan gave to the second CPAC. And that speech was the one where he declared the fact that let them go their way. And that was the title of the speech. And when he said let them go their way, what he was saying is if you read the speech, you'll find out that what he was talking about is something very similar to where we are today. We have a lot of people who play it very close to the vest, or they try to play it Democrat light, or they try to not offend people. They try not to do, to go out there and say things that can be twisted by the media. And, there's some common sense to all of that. But the other part of it is, let's not miss his message. His message was that we needed to show the differences between us in bold colors. And that is exactly what you're talking about. We need to be able to go in and talk about what conservatism is and how it has always worked. It has never failed. Conservatism has never failed if it has been tried. And this is the reason that we need to be able to go into these communities. We need to be able to go into these schools. We need to go into the churches. We need to go into places that perhaps a lot of Republicans are not comfortable going. And this goes to the very heart of the issue, Frank, and that's courage. Many, many Republicans lack the courage to stand into the wind. They lack the courage to stand tall and stand for something instead of standing against something. And this is what I think is one of the greatest difficulties that we have as a party, is the fact that we have too many people that are not willing to stand up and be counted. Because you're going to get yelled at. You're going to get criticized in the media. You're going to be vilified. All of those things are going to happen. But if you don't have the courage to stand into that, then you have no business running for office. That's my opinion.
Sam Clovis is our guest today. He is running for the treasurer of the state of Iowa under the Republican banner. Frank, did that answer your question, and do you have another?
Well, I did. Not another question, but I guess I'd just add that the Republican establishment seems to be, like Obama, not do anything stupid as it pertains to war policy. They don't want to do anything stupid because they're afraid they're going to have another Todd Akins blow up in their face.
Well, but, the people, you're going to have a Todd Aiken every once in a while, and you're going to do that. And so the issue is that you go out here and you think about these things before you get asked those questions. I mean, I've been caught, caught short. And I learned a valuable lesson. I was dealing with a particular reporter from Carroll, and I got caught getting up and literally walking out of an interview, and I got asked a question, and the guy knew it was a trap, and I wasn't smart enough to figure it out, and I gave a short answer that wasn't what I really wanted to say, and it got twisted, and so you learn from those things. So what you do is if you're in that position, you be prepared for those things because they're coming. They're coming, so be prepared for them. There's no reason not to be.
Well, some people kind of think that maybe they're sheltering Joni Ernst a little bit. Are you of that persuasion?
I know Joni as a friend, and we don't talk often because I know how busy she is. But when I do see her, we chat, And I think if Joni Ernst was left to be Joni Ernst, she's going to do just fine. That's what I think. If Joni Ernst was, because people that know her, you get the chance to know her. She is genuine. She's a wonderful person. She is as true blue as there is, and I think that she's a good candidate. I just don't, the thing I don't know anything about is how they're managing and what the strategy is for their campaign. And, we still got 5 weeks or 6 weeks to go. So this is something that's very, we still have a lot of time, and we'll see how things turn out.
Yeah, and people are getting, and Frank, thanks for the call.
Yeah.
People are getting so turned off by these ads.
Well, the purpose of negative ads is not to get you to switch votes. It is to get you it's to keep you from voting.
Really?
That's what negative ads are about, is to keep you from voting.
You just get sick and tired.
Sick and tired of it, I'm not going. And that's what it's about. It's not about getting you to switch your vote, because no negative ad is going to get you to switch from Bruce Braley to Joni Ernst or from Joni Ernst to Bruce Braley. No negative ad is going to do that. What you're going to end up with is you're going to get to the fact you're going to have doubts. And so you end up doubting the whole situation. And when you have so much of this out here, the whole purpose is to keep people from going to vote.
Wow.
It's really to suppress the vote.
That's incredible. I never knew that.
Oh, yeah, that's what it's about.
Well, and, I'm an armchair politician. Never run. If I ran, I wouldn't be elected. If I was elected, I wouldn't serve. I'm just not smart enough. I'm not smart enough to stay clear of the buckshot.
Well,
that's my problem. I'm kind of like you, only you have couth, and I have very little of it, because I just tell them the way it is. And I know enough about what's going on in these races.
Right.
This stuff that's being put out where they're literally calling David Young a liar.
Yeah. And he's not.
Yeah, they took words from something he said about, well, I've been in Washington long enough, and I've been in some difficult spots. All of a sudden, that becomes a 30-second commercial about how he's a Washington insider.
Wouldn't you rather have a person stand up and admit the fact that they fell for the trappings of Washington, D.C., because that makes them aware of it?
Yeah.
As opposed to someone who's going to lie to you about where they are and the fact that they're going to give in to special interests and they're going to fold up like a $3 suit. I know David Young, and I know David isn't going to do that.
No.
But his opponent sure will. And you talk about somebody who'll be lockstep with Nancy Pelosi. Stacey Apple will be right there.
And the only reason, and boy, this isn't slander, but I could sure get my butt in trouble for this. But I feel, my own personal opinion, Sam, not your opinion, not the opinion of Ryan or anybody else's, I think Stacey Apple is only where she's at because her husband's a judge. Now, I don't know whether he's a good judge or a bad judge. That's not my point.
Yeah.
You talk about political insiders.
Yeah.
You've got a judge with a lot of power
Yeah.
that can't run for office because he's got a judgeship, so he's got his wife out there, who, by the way, have you ever noticed how many children she has? Because she tells us every stinking time she turns around.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I've got 5. I'm a mother of 5 children, or 6, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Did you see the debate between her and Young?
Yes.
Seriously.
Well, I won't tell you what I texted David, but I texted him a question, and he's a righteous man, he's a Christian man, so he responded in a much more civil way than the question I asked. So it was,
but yet I am blessed to have a circle of friends who we can set aside politics and still be friends.
Right.
But yet I hear them, I say to them, so what'd you think of the debate last night? Oh, Apple killed him. Really?
Really?
What were you watching?
What were you watching?
Yeah. And then they dismay. And, well, you're just being that way because you're an ignorant Republican, and I'm going to call you names. And now I'm going to be mad and refuse to talk about it because you got beat.
Yeah.
And it was in front of everybody on television. Yeah. I don't know how anybody walks away and says, oh, Apple, man, she stole this. She was the apple of my eye.
Yeah.
She stole that debate.
Not at all. Not even close. And Jack Hatch in this last debate, I mean, my word. I mean, you sit there and you ask, you almost feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. Well, it was like the guy, who was the guy that was running with your group? Southsider.
Whitaker?
No. Gary Olge or...
Who? I don't know.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different guy.
Yeah.
Had fire and brimstone and passion, but you just knew that if he stood behind a legislative bench in the Senate, he was going to get aced because nobody was going to pay attention to him because he didn't have any couth. like me. He was an uncouth dude.
Oh, you're talking about in the 3rd District race, Granite.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. I mean,
Loved his passion.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Joe Granite.
Yeah, Joe. He did a good job. All right.
He's a great guy, by the way. So
there's no chance that Hatch is going to win this thing. I saw today that he pulled a bunch of his TV back. I would imagine the money is running short.
Yeah.
Jack's a good guy. I like Jack as a businessman. I've done some stuff with Jack in development and stuff.
Yeah.
Very square shooter. You know, they tried to go after him on this legislative committee that he was on or something, that he could vote himself some money.
Right.
I don't think Jack did that.
Yeah.
I think Jack's smart enough to know that kind of stuff is death if you're going to run for a public office at some time.
Right.
But given that, we're going to have Branstad. He can only do it 4 more years, right? He can't run another one after this one.
Sure he can. There's no term limits.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take a look at the treasurer. Been in there 32 years.
Mike Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
32 years.
Tom Miller, 28.
Yeah. But Tom Miller does a good job. I never feel like Tom Miller's partisan.
I do.
Do you?
Absolutely, because I think he shakes down the people. He goes out and shakes down for campaign contributions from people. And,
Ooh, okay.
And I also think that he did not step up for Obamacare, and he should have. I think he should have brought the state of Iowa into that suit, and he didn't.
Who's running against him?
Adam Gregg. He's a general counsel for the governor, and great guy, great kid, top-notch lawyer, and he's got a great future in the state. And I think he's got a shot at doing this. If we have a good year, the Republicans have a good year, we have a good chance to sweep this thing.
Yeah, and take the White House back.
Well, in 2016 we will, and
control the Senate.
Well, right now for us, we've got 5 great candidates on the constitutional offices. Mary Mosman's sitting auditor; she's running for auditor. Paul Pate's former Secretary of State; he's running for Secretary of State. Adam Gregg, Bill Northey is virtually non-contested, and then me. So
Well, we'll continue to talk to Sam as we come along. We talked about IPERS. Let's talk about the Judicial Retirement Fund as well as the Police Retirement Fund.
Yep.
We'll do that with Sam next here on 99.3 KTIA, Iowa.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I am administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave. and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
"22 minutes before the top of the hour on this 23rd day of September in the Lord's year 2014. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Coming up at the top, Salem Radio Network News updating us on continued bombings from American forces as well as others inside Syria now, not just in Iraq, but inside Syria, trying to fight ISIS, which I think is like trying to make a U-turn with the Queen Mary, but we'll see what happens. And then at 4:03, we've got Michael Mudloff with True Blue. You know, this doesn't even touch a territory that you're going to have to deal with as a potential treasurer and as a candidate for treasurer. But what would, I mean, if you could just have Obama's ear for 10 minutes, what would you tell him?
Oh, I don't know that I could tell him anything. I mean, because you have to be able to, he has to listen before you can talk, but he doesn't listen. People, and this is the thing that bothers me. I hear a lot of people talking about the fact that he's ignorant of what's going on.
And we should say you were in the Air Force for
25 years.
25 years.
And I served in the Middle East. I'm a Middle East expert. I'm a Russian expert. This is what I did when I was in the Pentagon, and I spent my time on the ground, boots on the ground in the Middle East, and for a couple of years, and so I know a little bit about the area. And I think one of the things that's troubling is that I hear from commentators, and I was listening to one on the way in, a national talk show host, and was talking about the fact that the president is ignorant of ISIS and all the things that are going on. I don't think he's ignorant of it at all. I think he knows exactly what they're up to. And I think he's very aware of what's going on in the world. It's just a matter that he chooses to behave and deal with these things in a certain way. His worldview is so foreign to me, I cannot comprehend his worldview. I cannot. I mean, I am incapable of getting my head around his worldview. And because it's anathema to me. It is totally foreign and opposite of anything that I have ever learned or choose to believe. So I think it would be impossible for me to talk to him.
All right, you and I have a biblical worldview.
Yes, we do.
What do you think his worldview is?
I'm not sure it's biblical, that's for sure.
Oh, we know it's not.
But I also think he's an individual that honestly lacks a moral center. I really don't think that he has a moral compass that allows him any sense of right and wrong or any of these things. I think he certainly is dismissive of American exceptionalism. I think he is one of these people who has bought into the progressive statist agenda, and in fact, he is one of the primary advocates of it. That truly is he's an elite individual, and he knows better than anybody else. And the people he hangs out with know better than anybody else. And so they really do want to be in charge, and they feel entitled to be in charge.
Sam Clovis is my guest today as we talk local politics, and I want to get back to the local stuff. But,
sure.
Here's my prediction, and you don't have to give me yours. I'm just going to give you my prediction.
Right.
What's going to happen to Obama after he leaves? He's going to be a young man. He's going to have his whole life in front of him. I say, and I've said this 10 times before, I say he goes for the President General's job at the UN. And he really works on a new world order.
Well, it's possible, but I think you need a Democrat president to help facilitate that, and that's quite possible. He's still young enough to do that. I think he's going to become incredibly rich. I think he's I think he covets that, covets the
wealth.
Exceptional wealth, not just wealthy, exceptional wealth.
And he'll get that wealth from speaking?
Well, whatever. I mean, it'll come his way.
Okay.
And I think and Michelle will as well. And I think that they'll continue down this, and they will live in a world that is not the same as yours and mine. And they will become more and more distant and more disconnected from the realities of the world.
So you don't agree with me that he'll seek a higher level of power in the world?
No, it's beneath him. It's beneath him.
That's a good point.
Yeah. He wouldn't soil his hands with that, I don't think.
What happens to Michelle?
Oh, I think that she'll be...
By the time they get out of here, they're going to be empty nesters.
Well, I think they'll write books, and they'll speak, and they'll commentate, and they'll do all the things that and here's the thing, you take a look at the decency of the Bushes and even Clinton, and not commenting, making comments about the people who follow them. Now, he won't. The day he leaves office, he'll be criticizing the next president.
Right.
Democrat or Republican.
Yeah. Especially Democrat.
Yeah. Because he is it's him, it's all about him. It's all about him.
Does Hillary have the nomination to lose?
Yes, she has the nomination to lose.
And how will she lose it?
I think she might lose it because I think that her temperament is one thing that I think will be there.
Who cares if there's another one?
Because if she comes across as a harpy, and I don't know if that's a fair characterization, but if she comes across as being crude and uneven and I should say unpresidential. Because we really don't have a model for that, do we? We don't have a woman model for that. But she may come across that way, and she may rub people the wrong way. I think that Martin O'Malley is an interesting candidate. He's a governor, and I think governors are good candidates. Joe Biden, I think, has a legitimate claim on it's not up to people will vote. I mean, he's got to go through the primary process.
I know,
but I think there'll be a couple more that come out of the woodwork because I think she's weak. I think she's a weak candidate.
Is there any way she won't run?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Well, I made Sam laugh.
That's a given. I think she's in.
So who on the Republican side?
Oh, my word. We got a deep bench. We got a lot of folks out there.
Is Jeb Bush? Is he?
I think he could be one of those. I think right now, if you had to, to tick off the list of folks that probably are the ones that are the betting odds would be on, I would say is Rick Perry, Ted Cruz. I think you'd have to take a hard look at Scott Walker if he wins this term up in there. I think there's Bobby Jindal, certainly there. Mike Huckabee.
There's my favorite.
I think even Rick Santorum might recycle. I do think we have others. Mitch Daniels, former governor. Mike Pence from Indiana. John Kasich from Ohio.
You're making my head spin.
But a lot of them are Susana Martinez. I mean, you may find her from New Mexico. She's wonderful.
Rubio.
Marco Rubio. Mike Lee. I mean, you think about it. There, Rand Paul. How can we forget Rand Paul? So
may finally time for a Paul to step up.
And Rand's got a lot going for him. I've spent some time with him. I've had a chance to catch up on what he, and I follow what he says a lot. And I think he's not Ron Paul. He's not Ron Paul. He's Rand Paul. And he is very definitive in his ideas and what he thinks. And I think he's got an interesting message, and I think it's a good message.
All right, Sam Clovis is our guest today. We've gone over some of the national races. Frank got you to touch a little bit on some local races. When we come back, I'll let you sit back and relax for just a second. When we come back, I want to score what I think are the most important races out there, and that's obviously your race. I think it's obviously the Braley and Ernst race. It's the David Young race.
Right.
Maybe there's another out there that you're thinking of that I'm not.
Yeah.
But let's score those.
Yes, we'll do that.
Sam Clovis is my guest today. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job. I couldn't do it without you. Right here on 99.3 KTIA. Now, remember, every day that I'm not here on Wednesdays and Thursdays, Reich Places is here. And my passion is conversation about today. If I read a Bible verse, if I read a book of the Bible, if I teach a Bible study at my church, I always ask the question, how are you going to apply what Paul is teaching us in the first century Christians out of Romans? How are you going to apply what John wrote? How are you going to apply Matthew's version of the Sermon on the Mount? And it's important that we know how we're going to apply stuff. That's what I do. Reich, he loves gospel music, and he loves the people that are in that. And Judy Chapman is his new co-host, and they're every Wednesday and Thursday right here from 3 to 4 o'clock. And then we'll come back, of course, with View from the Pew on Fridays. We appreciate you listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on 99.3 KTIA, Iowa. Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
Get away from my Sumito credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit, you're our hero!
See 'em here, see 'em there. You got bad credit? We don't care.
Visit emetroford.com for your guaranteed credit approval. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Everybody drives with guaranteed credit approval at emetroford.com. Visit emetroford.com today.
All right, we're back on this 23rd day of September in the Lord's year 2014. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Sam Clovis in the house today as he prepares for 7 weeks?
6 weeks today.
6 weeks. 6 weeks today.
42 days.
Is it 42 days? You're like me in my sobriety. I've been sober 1,602 days. Yahoo! Anyway, who's counting, right?
Well.
All right. Predictions. Are you comfortable doing predictions?
Well, you know how I'm going to come down on these because, I'm going to, yeah.
What's going to be the closest race?
I think the Joni Ernst Bruce Braley race will be the closest.
Okay.
Really, it will be. I think right now it's still a toss-up. I think it's very close. It's inside the margin of error, and the next 6 weeks will determine how it's going to break. Turnout's going to be a big deal.
Have we seen the Daisy Cutter bomb yet out of the Braley campaign?
No. I think if they're going to do anything, it'll be in the next 2 weeks because inside 5 weeks is where you really start to pound and ground and pound. So,
are we going to see Bruce Braley come out with a nice ad about him that doesn't mention Joni?
No. There's no point. What's the point? He's going to get the votes he's going to get. I mean, and like I said, negative campaigning is about suppressing the vote. And I think right now the Democrats, you see most of what the Democrats are doing is negative.
Yeah.
And the reason they want to do that is they want to drive down the turnout because I think, like many of us who observe politics in the state of Iowa, I think the Republican turnout is going to be significantly higher than the Democrat turnout. And then the independents will break, and they'll break one way or the other on many of these races. But I suspect right now they're going to break predominantly to the Republican side. And the reason is because there is absolutely nothing to vote for on the Democrat side.
No.
Nothing. And that's why even a lot of Democrats aren't going to vote.
Now, how is it that Branstad's going to run away with it?
Right.
And yet it's a close race between Joni and Bruce. Joni is very well known in the entire state. We don't know Bruce from Adam.
Now, well, both of them are now much better known. You got to remember that Bruce Braley was a sitting congressman. He's been in Congress for 8 years. He's from the 1st District, a heavily Democrat district right now. And so he's very well known up there. And where he was not well known across the western part of the state. Unfortunately, most of the votes, or 2/3 of the voting population, lives east of I-35. So that becomes a real issue. So where do you campaign? Where do you get your name known? And it's out here in the eastern part of the state. So I think that Joni and Bruce both have equal name recognition right now. I do think that there is a lot of issues associated with that race. And you may see, and I don't know this for a fact, but you may see a lot of undecidedness in that race as well. And what I mean by that is that there may be an undervote.
All right, let me ask you this. We're in 2014.
Right.
A very advanced society.
Right.
You know, given that this country's 200 and some years old.
Right.
Is the fact that Joni Ernst a woman still make a difference in these elections?
I think it certainly does. I think it is, and particularly if you take a look at the state of Iowa, has never elected a woman to the governorship or to a federal office.
Yeah,
and so. Right now we have two very, very significantly and very strong Republican women running. Joni is running in the Senate race, and then Marionette Miller Meeks is running in the 2nd District. I don't know if you've ever met Marionette, but she's good. She's dynamite, and I love her to death. I think she's a great candidate. She's a great human being, and I think she's going to give Dave Loebsack a run for his money. This is her 3rd try, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
I think the 1st District is another one that's very interesting too, because Rod Blum, self-made man, a person who has done extremely well, and literally has lived the American dream, is up against a political hack and Pat Murphy. It is a Democrat district, but I think Rod has a real shot at winning that because, again, I don't think people are necessarily in tune. I mean, they may vote dutifully as Democrats, but I think there are going to be a lot of Democrats that stay away. And I think Rod's got a legitimate shot because he has a great message. He really, as a Republican, he actually fits the mold of most of the people in that 1st District anyway. I mean, he's hardworking, came up in blue collar, then became a very successful businessman, and that's the American dream. So I think he's got a shot at it. I think Steve King is going to win in the 4th District against Jim Maurer. And Maurer is not running as a Democrat. I mean, he's a Democrat, but all of his ads sound very Republican, you know, and so. You know, if you have to run in that district, that's probably what you have to do. But I think the one is the most interesting.
He's the soldier.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yeah. 27 years old, though. Very young. And I think the one that's the most interest is this one, the one in the 3rd District here, David Young and Stacey Apple. I think that's I know David very well, and I only know Stacey by reputation, but David's a dear friend, and I think he's a great guy. And it'll be interesting to see how it breaks. I think that'll be a close race too.
He's genuine.
He is the real deal. He is a real Christian man.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could put a period after each word. Yeah. Real Christian man.
We go to the same church.
Yeah.
And when he comes into church and sees me, he takes a beeline towards me, and I get a bear hug. And you know it's genuine.
I'm telling you, I've spent time out campaigning. I campaigned with him for 6 months, and I spent more time with him than I did my family. and I really do. I mean, I count him as one of my dearest friends in the state of Iowa. Good. He is a good human being and a great guy.
Yeah, he is. He is, and what a contrast we have there between candidates in that category.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know. All right, well, Sam and Treasurer, you think this guy from Sioux City can make a difference here?
Yeah, I think we're gonna surprise a lot of people because we're good at surprising folks.
Yes, you are,
Mac, and I think we're gonna do fine. I'm real excited about the opportunity. We're up on the radio. We're doing we're up on television. We're doing some things that you're supposed to do. We're out there raising money. And I think for us, this is what we are going to provide, is what I've spoken about. We will always tell you the truth. We'll always do what's best for Iowa. And that, I think, has not changed. Leadership and stewardship. That's what I'm equipped with. That's what I come with. And I am, as you know, a man of deep, profound faith. And I believe in what we're doing. And I believe what we're doing is what's best for the state and what's best for the country.
Leadership and stewardship. I
Yes,
like
sir.
that.
Yes, sir.
That's good. Sam Clovis has been our guest. We may see him again before the election, but hopefully we'll see him after the election as the treasurer-elect. First time we would have changed treasurers in this town for 32 years?
32 years.
It's time for a change. Of course, last time we heard that, it was hope and change.
Yeah.
So we don't want any more hope and change.
This is real change.
Yeah. All right, Ryan's producing. Ryan, thank you. Tom Coates unable to be here today. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job, and I couldn't do it without you. So here's what I want you to do tonight for me, will you? Yeah, I know. You know what I'm going to say, but have you done it? Have you ever done it? Think of that person that you have a resentment against. You couldn't think of forgiving them. And tonight, in prayer, drop to your knees and ask Jesus to forgive you as you forgive others. We'll see you Friday.